shit. Something to say. Say it to my fucking face. Or my Johnson tip. Whatever works better. No transaction needed. I love making beta cement. I eat betas for breakfast. Turn me up. Like this, son. I eat betas for breakfast. Turn me up. Like this, son. Shit. Something to say. Say it to my fucking face. Or my Johnson tip. Whatever works better. No transaction needed.
Somewhere in space, lost far, far away, just you and me are together forever.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. And that was the logistical challenge I was telling you about, Jason, was I didn't get everything set up that I needed to get set up. Uh-oh, you're on mute. Did you mute yourself? You changed something in the green
I muted
room.
myself. Yeah. I'm sorry, man. Every now and then, this is the world that we live in, always being live streams and Zooms and Google meetings and everything. People start talking and they leave the mute button on.
Do people still use Google Meet? I heard Google Meet was hot shit.
Listen, bro. We love some Google Meet. It's better than the Microsoft whatever thing that
The
runs
Teams?
over there.
Teams?
Yeah.
Teams is pretty bad. Teams is
that is hot garbage.
That is hot garbage. Yeah.
Every time I run it on my Mac, it explodes my Mac.
The fan starts to spin up and whatnot.
Oh gosh,
that just means you got to go get a new Mac, Jason. You just need a new Mac.
I already have a new Mac.
Oh, do you?
This is like, it's crazy. Every
go
time
buy a
you
new
run,
one.
Walk into the Mac store and be like, I know I was here last month and got this, but I used Microsoft Teams and now I need to get a new one.
That's right. Jason, welcome to Tuesday, buddy. Welcome to Tuesday. How was fishing on Friday? I did inform chat. I want you to know. I informed chat on Friday during Team of the Hacker that you chose fishing over informing them of the latest cybersecurity threats. I did let chat know that.
I apologize to all of you profusely, but I needed a little bit of some mental reprieve. And fishing was awesome. I got to spend time with my brother and a very close friend out on the water, just looking at Mother Nature.
So
reeling in some fish.
Real quick on that. This is off topic. This is off topic from what we were talking about today.
This is off topic.
How did you? Because you called me up late Thursday night, and I could tell that you were on the fence about making this decision. How did you know mentally that you needed this?
When the little things that are going on turn into big things. And then you're like, well, wait a minute, this is a little problem. This is a little challenge. And yet it feels like such a big problem. Then I think that you kind of need to walk away for a moment or two or a day and take a deep breath. If all of a sudden a little problem and the first thing that comes to you is potentially, a cuss word or then you might need to just kind of walk away.
You might be a little stressed out. You might be a little stressed out.
You might be frustrated. You might need a new set of lenses or a new mindset on things for the day. And so you need some sleep and you need to change the scenery.
Yeah. How can you predict this stuff? Like if we're going to have a conversation about burnout, let's have a little bit of a conversation about burnout, because I think it's something that we contend with in our industry. We don't talk about a whole lot. Can you predict burnout? Do you think you can predict burnout?
I think you can. When you and I have known each other a while now, and you can tell behavioral changes. If the person is starting to act a little bit like a firecracker when normally they logically, mentally walk through things, talk normal, calm. If you're calm, cool, and collected, I think you're able to deal with things. You're able to think about things. And when you're not calm, cool, and collected, and you're a little bit of a firecracker about even the smallest things, I do believe, and some people are like, oh, no, I'm not burnt out. Well, then why are you reacting the way that you're reacting to, this? Like, I'm just asking you a question and you bit my head off, or you cussed at me and the situation didn't necessarily you didn't need to cuss at me. I understood you were passionate or serious about it, but it's just those things. I can tell even within our own team members, I'm like, hey, how are you doing? I'm a little tired today. I'm not feeling that great. And yeah, I'm feeling a little bit burnt out. Why don't you take tomorrow off?
Have you ever made somebody take, has somebody ever lied to you? And I say a little white lie, right? No, Jason, I'm fine. No, Jason, I'm fine. You're like, no, get the fuck out of here. You need the break.
Yes.
Yeah.
And push back and I say, listen, you taking tomorrow off is not going to end us. It's not going to be the end of the world. It could only improve things. It could only improve you. It could only improve the situation. Come back the following day, and let's talk about this topic. But right now, we probably shouldn't talk about the topic because we're not getting anywhere successfully here.
Yeah. No, I don't think we talk about burnout enough. I think we all hear that burnout exists in our industry, and it is real. I mean, I've talked about it on stream before. I think it just I know I give you shit here on stream about going fishing, on Friday, but what were the first words out of my mouth when you said when you called me on Thursday? Like, you didn't even get the whole thing out of your mouth, and I was like, go. Get the fuck out.
Yeah.
Go. Yeah.
No, I appreciate that, and it was a big choice for me because I knew that we had sort of delayed Tuesday to Friday's stream, and I'm passionate about making sure that we get this information out to this community. But I appreciate you guys letting me, kind of have a day.
Good. All right. Well, let's get to it. Let's talk about today a little bit, Jason. I'm going to hit the rules really fast for chat. So first and foremost, we are streaming across multiple platforms. If I don't call your platform by name, don't think that I don't see you. We do see you. Twitch has changed some of the rules so that I can't acknowledge those other platforms, but I do see your existence on those other platforms, and I do see the questions, comments that you do drop into chat. Second thing, Twitch has changed their API for chat. What that means is that my streaming software no longer allows me to push comments up onto stream, regrettably, at least until they patch the API connectivity for Twitch chat. So I apologize. We won't have our interactive comments section pushed up on stream, but that doesn't mean that we still don't see your questions, that mods are still here to grab those questions, put those questions into chat. So please continue to go ahead and drop those questions live in chat. Just know that we're dealing with some Twitch API changes that don't allow us to push them up on stream currently. With that being said, if you're new here, thank you so very much for tuning in. This is our Tuesday breakdown, threat breakdown with Jason, CEO of BitLift. Every 2 weeks, Jason and I sit down here. We kind of talk about the latest and greatest cybersecurity trends that we've seen. Get great perspective from Jason and the BitLift team because they're on the front lines defending enterprises day in and day out, and so they're seeing the threats and fighting the good fight day in and day out. And I'm just here for comic relief and to give Jason shit about his Tesla and the generator sitting in the back of it. Whoa!
Wait, you're the one driving around with a check engine light on. Check engine light. Tell us about this check engine light with less than 500 miles on it.
We don't have time for that, Jason. We don't have time for that. If you're not new here, if you're a regular visitor, thank you very much. We will be transitioning immediately from this to our co-working stream. That's one of the reasons why we've got some of the joined thematics here is we're going to end this stream and go directly to a co-working stream. So we do ask that you stick around for the co-working streams. With that being said, we do have updated channel points. Also, huge shout out to Hannah, Jason. Thank you, and Hannah for the Try Hack Me vouchers. We did get those given out last week on your behalf as well. And so, congrats to our winners for that. And continued thank you to you and Hannah for coordinating those Try Hack Me vouchers for the community.
Yeah, and there's going to be more of those coming on the next stream. We're going to have some really cool giveaways on the next stream. So make sure that you stream with us next time.
Absolutely.
We got some cool stuff lined up.
Absolutely. So today we're going to talk about, obviously we had Black Hat 2 weeks ago. Black Hat is an interesting time of the year, right? It gets really, really quiet kind of leading up to Black Hat because everybody's saving all of their announcements for either the week before Black Hat, the week of Black Hat, or the week after Black Hat. It's a huge, whether it's marketing or, projects or disclosures or whatever the case is, there's a 3-week window there where there's a lot that happens from a disclosure perspective. And so Jason and I sat down when we were planning this content out, and we decided that we would kind of look at our respective interest areas and where we look at the data that comes out of a Black Hat and a DEF CON. And see where that kind of helps us focus our lasers, if you will, from a threat perspective, as it shapes our vision and shapes our perspective over the next quarter to 6 months, as we roll into to the end of the year into next year. And so that's what Jason and I are going to talk to you about a little bit today. I've got my perspective on things. Jason's got his perspective on things. And one of the values that kind of comes from this is Jason is obviously with his team on the front lines every day. And so what he looks at is obviously different than mine, which is from a CISO startup perspective, as I, be forward looking around the corner to see what trends and things could be happening, that could affect query from a CISO perspective, or even any of the other folks that I consult with, on the side. And so, as always, don't forget to drop your questions inside of chat for anything that's that we talk about. But with that being said, I got my topics. Jason, I know you got your topics. I love to hear from you first. What's the first thing that you want to tell everybody that you're thinking about as you come out of Black Hat and DEF CON that you paid attention to?
Well, as I was looking at things, it seems like there was a lot of great announcements. AI continues to be the shockwaves through the environment. And it just seems to me that there seems to be still, if you remember, a couple streams ago, 2 streams ago, 3 streams ago, we started pulling on this thread and of 0 days and vulnerabilities and oh wait, you probably should be thinking about this. This could be a thing. And then next thing you know, like the 0 days and the vulnerabilities, like we didn't plan that. It starts coming out from other companies, Microsoft, Azure, Fortinet, right?
We had a string of those here recently where we got a few of them.
Heck yeah. And so that's one of the things that I want to highlight today is, as we're talking through this, is like, folks, what we are hearing is folks like to buy software, turn switches on, and sort of set it and forget it and walk away. And in some cases are putting too much trust into that, hey, I turned this on, I flipped this switch, and I walked away, and I haven't come back and checked on this for weeks, months, because I got a whole lot of other stuff that's taking my time. And some of these are important things. Like, I want to highlight a couple pieces that while Black Hat and all of these exciting announcements were going on over here, these were the things that were happening subtly behind the scenes.
So you're talking about like there was a little bit of like, hand wavy, like, sure, there's a bunch of excitement in marketing and AI and stuff like this happening at Black Hat. By the way, the real shit's happening over here on the back end, and that's what your team is having to contend with.
100%. And we, all of us, can get excited about the marketing stuff and the hype about the software. And I love new features and functions, coming out like, oh my gosh, this is going to make our life better.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we have to still like pay attention to the stuff that's going on of like what we already have deployed, what we already have set up and running in our configuration, because all of us know it's near impossible to like take that new shiny thing that we seen at Black Hat, and the conferences that we go to, and implement it tomorrow or next week or next month.
What are you talking about? Every company at Black Hat said that they could one-click deploy everything that they've got. You telling me that that's not real, Jason?
Show me. Show me the money. That's what I want to say. I think that's a famous quote from somebody. But
you called me a couple weeks ago, and you're like, Neal, did you see all these 0 days popping up? And we had a good conversation about that. As a lot of this stuff was kind of popping up. What are you seeing that's like, of particular interest that you think people aren't paying enough attention to?
Well, so first and foremost, I'm not picking on anyone, any
course
particular
not.
company.
Of course not.
So this one's going to be different than Microsoft. I'm not starting with Microsoft. So
damn.
Yeah. But so Fortinet has released.
You said you weren't going to say Microsoft, and then you said Fortinet right afterwards.
I know. It's if it, not all of us can be cruising around in the Mercedes-Benz of products here. So there are those out there that are cruising around in Fortinet land, and Fortinet has been under some extremely heavy fire with some of the 0 days that were exploded in 2025. Man.
Yeah. It's become a meme. It's become a meme. It's a day that ends in Y, so there's got to be a Fortinet 0 day that's hitting.
100%. And the crazy thing is it's across multiple products, and I'm kind of baffled at their recommendation. So if you can't patch this, and if the patch wasn't put out for this specific thing, they're just telling you to disable HTTP, HTTPS admin interface if unpatched and review IOCs.
Whoa. I'm doing the Peter Griffin thing here. Whoa. Did you just say disable the admin interface if it can't be patched?
Yes. Yeah. And this is like coming straight from Fortinet,
Proper.
Like, obviously they're wording it carefully.
Sure.
So that they can, they probably fed this through Claude, ChatGPT, Grok, and then all the marketing people read it before they posted this language. But the reality is that there was some major 0 days in the Fortinet products, and I'm hoping. So as we're joking through this, I'm hoping if you have Fortinet products like the 40 SIM, the Fortinet firewall, if you're using the 40 SSL VPN, there was all 0 days for this. Now, yes, some have patches out, but my question to you is have you patched 100% of everything? And then can you confirm that the patch solved the problem in your environment based on your configuration? Those are the big things.
I still laugh that if you can't patch, you have to disable your one and only way to administer the entirety of the device. 100%.
I hope you have your serial cable laying around.
And you remember how all your serial commands work and everything too.
Yes.
What do you tell your clients that are heavy invested in Fortinet, right? And I mean, I'm again, to your point, we're not here to disparage on Fortinet. Like, they're a software vendor. We can remember the days, when Microsoft had bad runs, around security and whatnot. But I mean, for Chad, who doesn't understand, there are companies who go all in on Fortinet or Cisco or Extreme when HP was doing Extreme, and they have millions of dollars in invested infrastructure, tens of millions of dollars in invested infrastructure. What conversations are you having as Fortinet is getting pounded with 0 days every week?
This is you have to carefully navigate the conversation, right? One is you don't want to offend the people that made the decision to go all in on a manufacturer like that. I think there's a couple things. Like I oftentimes explain to people, I think going in on one manufacturer is a risky decision. People say, oh, well, you don't get fired for buying Cisco, or you don't get fired for buying Microsoft, or you don't get fired for buying whatever publicly traded company, of the hardware that you're buying. And I was like, I don't necessarily believe that's a good statement anymore.
Yeah.
I didn't believe that it was a good statement in the first place, but somebody said it that was highly paid, well thought of, and respected. And for whatever reason, it's stuck in our industry. I think that's a stupid thing to say.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry if you don't agree with that, but here's the reality is that if you are all in on Fortinet and you own their APs and their switches and their firewalls and their 40 SIM and their endpoint and their SSL, well, if they have a flaw in there and the flaw is sort of distributed across it because now the product integrates, I mean, you're a sitting duck.
Yeah.
And there's really nothing that you can do for some aspects of it, like until you get a patch or an update.
Yeah.
Now, the things that you can do is go start disabling stuff like access to, the admin interface.
Yeah.
And watch it like a hawk.
Yeah.
Turn on as much logging as you can and stay in it. But here's the thing is one of the 0 days was actually on the 40 SIM. And
so there's their SIM product, their actual security product.
100%.
I mean, not to say that the firewall is not security product, but the actual thing that security practitioners are using to monitor their own environment. Yeah.
And one of the things that I want to drive home with this is this isn't just a Fortinet problem. Like all SIMs are software driven, right?
Yeah.
That's no news to anybody. But here's the reality is that the SIM is holding the logs of all of this important equipment.
Yeah.
Of software, equipment, hardware.
Microsoft, network data, authentication data, like heaven help you if you're doing PII or PCI data inside of a SIM. You shouldn't be, but whatever. We know how that goes.
Let's not get into the do's and don'ts right now. What you should not ingest. But this, like, people are operating a SIM, and I think that we have heard this. I've heard language that they sort of believe that the SIM is not going to have vulnerabilities.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that I think I read something to that effect similarly last week during Black Hat, where, there's a lot more security products that are coming forth with vulnerabilities on the heels of this Fortinet thing.
Yes. And this is what I'm trying to state so that everybody has their eyes and ears on this is that security products in some cases right now are coming out with more 0 days, right, than operational products. And so if you think about like a SIM or a switch, a switch, very operational, and then the Fortinet firewall or a Fortinet SIM in this case that we're talking about comes out with a whole bunch of 0 days and it's unauthenticated access and it's escalation privilege and things like that that's happening in these 0 days. And what I want people to take away from this is like, you have to really realize this security product is going to have flaws and you need to know about the flaw as quickly as you can. And what does the flaw risk expose you to?
We did a red team one time where when we got into the organization, we went after their SIM for that very reason, right? It's got access to so much data. It's got visibility everywhere. You could see, vulnerability data to see what was vulnerable, what wasn't, without having to run noisy network scans. Definitely high target, on security tools when you're on the inside.
Yeah. And so, think about if the SIM gets exploited, the data that you have in there, you want to keep that puppy as safe as you possibly can. It is full of gold.
Yeah.
It tells a lot about the rest of your makeup of your environment.
Yeah.
All you got to do is just look at all the logs that you're sourcing your logs from.
Yeah.
And if I know about all your log sources, I as a criminal hacker can know about a whole lot else, right? And then all I got to do is use AI and say, oh, they're using this for endpoint.
Yeah.
They're using this for, email. They're using this. Go research the latest, 0 days that are on that software package or that thing, and then go exploit those and move around. I mean, it doesn't take a lot of time.
Yeah. Speaking of AI, I've got one for you. I've got one for you, Jason. You knew that you weren't like I was so excited to share this one with you when we were going to do this stream and chat, obviously, and chat, because like, listen, and this is what I love about working with you, Jason, is that we can be pragmatic. We can both acknowledge the merits and the future vision that comes with AI. But as pragmatic security practitioners, we can also appreciate looking around the corner and seeing like, okay, this is how the threat landscape around AI is developing around us too. And I've talked to chat before. I'm like, I know that these people are going to release their research either the week of Black Hat or the week after. And that's exactly what happened, is that during the week of Black Hat, after they had their talk at Black Hat, there was a group, and you can go find this group. It's the name of the company is Zenity, Zenity. They were researchers. They had found a very, very interesting zero-click exploit. Remember, chat, we talked about zero-click exploits a couple weeks ago with Jason, which is why I thought that this was kind of funny, was because like we'd had this conversation about zero-click probably about a month ago when we did one of these streams as well. But they had found a zero-click exploit in ChatGPT. Now, this had been responsibly disclosed to OpenAI. It's thus been fixed. But I say that to say like, hey, don't go to OpenAI and try this. But this could also perpetuate into self-hosted models, into companies who have built their own models locally based off of an OpenAI open source model and haven't patched or things like this. So if you're thinking about it from a red team perspective, if you're looking at it from a risk perspective, if you've done your own LLM deployment around an OpenAI model, this zero-click type of exploit could be in there that could be used by attackers. And so I'll read a little bit about it, about the attack chain that they had found. But it basically allows them to embed hidden malicious prompts in shared documents. So basically, if you're familiar with ChatGPT, you've got the tools section down there. You can have it connect to Google Drive or to SharePoint or something like that, so they can access the documents that are there. It forces the model to basically render the image and silently exfiltrates data like API keys, chat history, does memory implants to attacker-controlled servers. It persists across multiple conversations and basically turns the AI into an autonomous backdoor simply by reading a compromised document inside of SharePoint or inside of Google Drive. And so if you're thinking about this from an attack chain perspective, Jason, you get a shared document that maybe comes from a third party. Maybe it's an invoice, maybe it's a fake bill, maybe it's a fake NDA, maybe it's a fake statement of work or something like this. You upload it to your Google Drive or to your SharePoint, and then you're asking the LLM to maybe review it for legal. Maybe you're asking it to, review it so that you can get a summary of what's there. And then as it processes that document, it then begins to autonomously backdoor the AI, exfiltrate your API keys, exfiltrate the data that's in there, and send that stuff over encrypted channels to attackers. So I thought that was pretty awesome. Coming out of Black Hat was to kind of see like one of the first, like we've heard about prompt injection, we've heard about leaking malicious data out of the LLM because of people who have uploaded sensitive documents, but I think this is the first time that we've actually seen or heard or talked about a true zero-click malicious autonomous backdoor operating inside of a model.
Yeah, and I think there's some thoughts there. Like we haven't even connected, right? And I think organizations need to be careful about connecting their LLM to their Google Drive. And yes, those integrations can be helpful, but there could be, and this is what's happening. And so you need to kind of open your mind to, well, what if there's ever a flaw in this integration? Well, here you go. Right. And so right now, today, we're discussing what the flaw is because that flaw has been discovered. But what if the flaw is like, oh, well, you're paying on the paid for edition. You know, we had a flaw where we actually read and ingested all your documents into your Google Drive, and they leaked from the paid for edition to the non-paid edition, and we learned off of all of your documents. How are you going to undo that? Right.
Yeah.
And so you could be like, well, Jason, you're thinking about something, you're talking about something that's not reality. Well, but that's what keeps happening is we keep talking about what if this happens, what if that happens, and then 2 weeks later we're talking about, oh my gosh, that happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like never would have thought about that.
Well, let me put on just this, you know, the hat of pragmatism, just in the spirit of good banter back and forth, right? Because I fundamentally hate that logic. I will fight you. I will knife fight you over that logic, right?
All right.
I don't think, I have a fundamental belief that business can't operate successfully out of fear of the unknown.
No, I understand that. I get that. And I mean, gosh, we were just having a conversation last week of like doing an integration with a company.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, the question came up like, oh, well, you know, have we pen tested the integration? And have we gone through front door to back door on architecture and diagrams and how the creds are being passed and all this stuff? And for like 80, 85, 90% of the questions that came up in that security review meeting, the answers were like, yes, we went over it. Yes, there's a document. We discussed it. We even made some changes along the way. We changed how we were going to do it to a new way. Pen testing, yes, we're going to pen test this part of the product and that part of the product, and we're going to do as much as we possibly can. But we still need to release this and keep momentum moving forward. And I think everybody in the world has this conversation. And at some level, you have to move product from dev, test, QA out to production. And we get that, right? And we're not condemning, right, these folks that we're talking about. We're just trying to make people aware that these problems, these challenges exist, and that you need to have a plan to mitigate them. But 100%, like you can't release software explicitly. You can't release software and be 100% secure.
Yeah.
It's impossible. And if anybody ever tells you that, run far and fast away.
100%. Like that last statement is 100% spot on. But on the same token, like I think in security, you can what if yourself into a black hole, right?
Absolutely. Black swan event.
Oh,
black
yeah.
Swan event.
Oh, yeah.
How many times has a black swan event happened to you?
Well, not just that, but remember all the black swan events that were allegedly going to happen over OT, right? Do you remember we were supposed to have a cyber Pearl Harbor 10 freaking years ago, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And we still haven't had it, right? Are we ever going to have it in the future? Great question. We don't know, right?
Right.
But are we going to sit around and not use our water treatment facility plans because we might have a cyber Pearl Harbor at some point in time in the future?
I don't know about you, but I'm pumping water in my backyard.
You and your chickens?
Yeah. Hey, but that is so true. I mean, we have to be careful, I would say, on like the cry wolf situation.
Yeah.
The black swan events, you know, yes, we did have the cybersecurity event, you know, with the oil company where, you know, the eastern seaboard could not move oil, right?
Yeah.
And those situations happen.
But we're right back to using oil, and we're right back to living our life, and business is booming in the oil business all day and every day.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Now, do you need to operate securely? yes, you should be operating as secure as you possibly can be, but you need to be operating.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's my point on AI, right? AI, kind of to the point that I was fighting you on originally, does this vulnerability exist? Yes. Now we know that it is possible to have a zero-click vulnerability in ChatGPT. We should take that the same seriousness that we take a zero-click vulnerability in Teams, or a zero-click vulnerability in Google, or a zero-click vulnerability anywhere else that we haven't had. SMS and WhatsApp, Signal, it doesn't matter. We should take that as seriously as we do. But should that stop us from leveraging the advantages that AI and LLMs have in our enterprise? Absolutely not. I think somebody in chat has got a really cool word for it, right? Productive paranoia, right? I think that sometimes we shift away from the productive side of paranoia and forget that risk is part of our day-to-day life.
Yeah. Yeah, like I was having lunch the other day with a police officer, and this time I wasn't in cuffs.
I was going to say, I was like, what kind of conversation were you having with a police officer?
Yeah. It was over lunch.
It was planned.
It was planned. The invitation was mutual. But if you know police officers, most of the time they like to sit in a restaurant with their back to the wall, where they can see the whole room, and they can have a conversation with you. They can even slightly engage in that conversation with you. But for the most of the time, a police officer is scanning the room, knowing the risk, and wolfs down lunch and then moves on. Right?
Yep.
And so I like that as well. Productive paranoia, where I feel like here in IT, and I'm saying this because IT people are security people too, even though there's some sort of people are trying to make like, okay, well, you're in security and you're in IT. And I'm like, no.
Let's not do that. Let's not do that here.
Yeah, let's not do that. That bad stuff happens. But if we can move forward in a way where this is productive, we can be the best secure that we can be today. We're going to have challenges we're going to be fighting and talking about tomorrow. But companies need to operate, if that's probably one of the bigger things that I'm seeing at this moment in the space
is people taking more risk or people not taking enough risk.
Well, in some cases, there are people taking too much risk. I think there's two sides to that. So let me explain. We have folks in the space right now that are taking too much risk and putting too much reliance on the software, the vendor, and just believe that they got it. We've seen that. Let
me ask you something about that though, if you don't mind me interrupting really fast.
Yeah.
And again, I'm gonna play devil's advocate on this one really, really quick with you on this one. Do you not think that that's because we've become tone deaf to the ramifications of the imperfections of that software? Meaning, there's no repercussions. I don't get fired. I don't get fired if there's a Copilot 0-day and I lose 50% of my code, right? That's not me. My contracts, my third-party risk management, my contracting team, the limitations of liability, insurances, cyber insurances, things like that, they've conditioned me not to care, right? If a customer sues me because my code got leaked because of a GitHub RCE, right? I can simply turn around to GitHub and say, it was a third-party risk problem. We don't own that risk. Insurance can pick it up, or I'll defer the risk by suing GitHub or whatever the case is due to their limitations of liability, right? We've got all these chains of risk deference in place that we've conditioned security teams not to care. The same way credit card companies have conditioned us not to care if our credit card gets popped at the gas station.
Yeah. I do think that's happened. I which is garbage in my opinion.
Yeah. No doubt.
But I do. And that's partly what I'm saying here is people think that they can insure themselves and defer the risk.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no,
but they can, Jason. They do it every day.
They do it every day, but there still needs to be the difference between right and wrong.
Well, you're talking morality and ethos, not legality.
Sure. So there's legality, and then there's morals and ethics.
Yeah.
And I think for the most part, we should show up with morals and ethics and not rely that we're going to sue this person and we're going to get into a legal battle and we're going to, because otherwise the lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit, 2, 3, 4 years goes by, and you know what? No, nobody won. Nobody learned anything. No skills were gained out of that.
Jason,
right?
Jason, you brought up ethos. We are about to rabbit hole like a MFer right now. I'm not even lying to you.
Black Hat? Tell us what happened at Black Hat.
No, because you brought up morals and ethos. There is,
when it comes to doing, yes.
Have you seen this viral conversation that's going around in our industry? And I've talked about this on stream. This should not surprise anybody who has tuned into this stream on the regular basis. I've talked about this, but there's a viral post that's going around. It started on Reddit. It's now over on LinkedIn, where it's when did CISO turn into cash in, sit out? And it's basically talking about CISOs who are taking equity to get a vendor into the organization. They're charging $20,000 to be part of a CISO forum just for a vendor to have access to a CISO community, right? Who they could potentially pitch their product to, right? And I've talked about this on stream about how incredibly unethical and how I've been witness to this in our industry. It's
IT mafia.
It is IT mafia.
IT mafia.
But how can you say that organizations should have ethos when inside of our own community we can't even maintain an ethical standard for how we interact with the vendors that we choose to participate in our ecosystem?
I mean, I don't think that there's, in my opinion, there's a clear cut and dry. The clear cut and dry is, the difference between right and wrong.
Mm-hmm.
If you took money, or if you took equity, or you took something in order for a decision to be made, that's just wrong.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I wholeheartedly believe a product should be bought and consumed based on its feature functions and alignment for the organization, and a group saying, we believe this is the right product for the organization. And whether it can be a group decision or a single decision, but I'm saying if you are part of a pay to play,
mm-hmm.
I wholeheartedly believe that is wrong.
Yeah.
And people can differ on that from me, and that's okay. That makes us.
I want to make it expressly clear. I don't differ from you on it. What I think is challenging is we're starting to see the formulation of, to your point, a consortium of individuals who have taken their greed a step further in our industry, and it is causing irreparable damage to the CISO relationship with the board, to the CISO relationship with the enterprise, to the value of the words that we put in front of organizations about what it means to protect an organization, what it means for the risk perspective and picture. And I think that translates over, to your point, to people just not caring about the security of the tools that they bring into their enterprise, because there are no consequences for bad behavior in our industry.
Yeah. And I think that part of that could be fear. Like, okay, if I fire this person, what's it going to say? But here's the thing is I'd come out and say, you know what? I fired this person because I found out that they didn't make the right choice for the company.
Mm-hmm.
They made the right choice for their pocketbook
mm-hmm.
and their own personal goals.
Yeah.
Not that they thought about you, me, and everybody else that depends on this place being alive and well for a paycheck and our customers, and our other constituents. They made a choice based on their own personal greed.
Yep.
And that person has been let go immediately and does no longer work here. Make it a public statement.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what it should be.
But this commercialization, like, so I don't disagree with you. I think that we should find out where this is happening. We should call it out explicitly. We should name and shame people that this is happening to. I think that this is a
It ruins the industry. It ruins the integrity.
Yeah.
It ruins so much.
Yeah.
$20,000 CISO dinners is garbage.
Yeah.
You know, it is so, and this is what's happening in the enterprise space. Oh, you come, you sit down, you have a $20,000, vendors are paying
sponsorship fee to show
sponsorship fee. You go to Roos Chris and all this, and then all in hopes that you're going to meet the right people and sell some stuff. This is what's actually driving up the cost of security products. Because if you find out behind the scenes, oh, we had to spend $2 million this year on marketing so that we could go to 20 CISO events and all these other things, what happens is it just drives up the cost of a security product.
Yeah,
it's garbage.
It is. It's garbage. It ruins. I think this is a crime worse than a CISO allowing a breach in their enterprise. Breaches are going to occur. You cannot unequivocally stop breaches. This is, to Jason's point, this is a choice that this CISO, that these CISOs, that this group of CISOs is actively making to self-benefit themselves over the organization.
Yeah. This is why, like, I get these emails all the time. And you know how many of these CISO dinners at Roos Chris in these high-end steakhouses we participated in? Goose egg.
But has it hurt your business?
It potentially might have. It surely might be. But see, the reality is like, what is the expectations of those vendors when they have paid $20,000 per vendor to go to a CISO dinner?
Well, so if I were to channel my internal, Dave sales guy, right? It's an at bat, Jason. You're paying for an at bat, and is that one more at bat? Is that a curated at bat where your chances of likelihood are higher? I have sat on the other side of that, where I've been asked to come to these dinners, not knowing that they were part of these $20,000 sponsorships. That, when I was at Abbott, when I was at Mondelez, it was, hey, Neal, we're having a get together. Would you be interested in coming? I just thought it was people being friendly, right? And then I get there and I get there and I'm like, wait a minute, like there's a whole bunch of CISOs here.
What champagne do you want?
Right.
Sir?
Right. I mean, it was nice to get wined and dined, but then when I realized that they were basically just giving my information over to these vendors and just being like, hey, you seem to have an interest in XXX tool because you showed up to XXX dinner. We'd love to sell you on it. I was like, this is like, I would never, like, this is horrible. Like, this is.
And then there's an expectation.
Yeah.
There's an expectation that you will buy something from those vendors.
There is.
Because they just paid, in your meal there probably costed them somewhere about $500 to, $1,000 per person that walked through the door.
Yep. Yep.
And so, hey, if there's 20 CISOs sitting there and the company got $20,000 per vendor and there's 4 vendors, the person that, this is crazy, but the person that made the event happen, pocketed a whole bunch of cash.
Yeah.
Because they made it's garbage to me. I'm highly passionate about it. And I think this stuff, because it doesn't have the right intentions behind it.
No.
So but here's the other thing is like, this is a cleaner version. I'd say, hey, if 5, 10, 15, 20 CISOs want to go to a ball game, right? And it's a sport event. And what we're going to do is we're going to pay for your ticket, but you're on the hook for your food and your drinks and everything else.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And there is this cleaner way of doing it that doesn't create this confliction or this conflict of interest, what I think it is, that you can actually, talk to those people in a setting where you didn't just pay buco bucks for them, and now there's some sort of expectation on the line.
I think that's the kicker as I read through this drama that's happening in security right now around this. And this, chat, this is why we're talking about this, is because this is drama that transcends 0 days. This is drama that transcends patching. This is drama that transcends, zero-click vulnerabilities in OpenAI. Your leadership, the leadership that you look up to, that is a mentor to you, that is driving your strategy, that is talking to the board, that is representing the security face of your industry, could potentially be participating in some form of unethical activity that is fundamentally undermining everything that you could be doing on a day in and day out basis simply to enrich their own pockets.
The decision-making process is undermined through that. Hey, I went out, had whiskey with these guys.
Yep.
We shared a bunch of stories. There's a difference between getting to know somebody and liking them. You do business with people you like.
Yep.
We can get to know each other without alcohol and food and the bars and all the other things that undermine the decision-making process, especially for the organization and the team, the larger team that's at MITRE here. And
it's a fine line, right? Because I want to make something clear. I'm not opposed to social events, to well-run, publicly organized, where all the cards are on the table about expectations. I will go to a vendor event knowing that there are vendors there where the expectations are clearly laid out, what the relationship is that exists there. What I'm talking about is there are closet, backdoor, alleyway type of meetings that are happening with security professionals and vendors, where security professionals are directly pocketing for the sheer purpose of convincing the organization to spend money on here's the scenario that I've seen firsthand. Let's say Jason and I have a relationship. Jason hires me to introduce him to a CISO at another company, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is my responsibility to make sure that CISO is going to get compensated for expressly bringing Jason in to do BitLift's job at organization A. And there will be no conversation about whether Jason is capable, whether his technology is sound, whether he has the right solution or not. That CISO is going to collect a $20,000 check. He's going to collect 1% of equity in Jason's company. That CISO is going to get some direct compensation for simply signing a PO with BitLift to get BitLift in there as a vendor. That's the unethical stuff that we're talking about that is starting to show its head in our industry.
And it's happening. So if you think that we're talking about something that's not happening, I would encourage you to go out and read the forums.
Yeah.
Read the notes that are taking place inside of these community forums, because it is happening.
It is.
And people are getting caught. And but we've got a few minutes left.
Yeah. Small rabbit hole. Small rabbit hole.
But let's come back to some Black Hat stuff and give our folks some meat and potatoes here before we leave.
Let's do it. Go for it. What you got?
So there's a couple things that are still high on our watch list. WinRAR. I want to make sure we talked about this a couple streams ago. Lots of people use WinRAR for compression and things like that, and zipping things. This is a big thing. This is still has ongoing exploitation for malware delivery. So there's several groups out there, Romcom and Paper Werewolf groups that are still using this. I really would encourage you to patch and get on the latest version of WinRAR. I'm still seeing this used out there, and people don't really
with regard to WinRAR, what we should also say, you should be talking to your enterprise about this, because there's probably somebody in IT, there's probably somebody in accounting, there's probably somebody in some other department that's using WinRAR that you don't know. Like, if you're looking for an opportunity in your enterprise to get your voice out there, make a presentation about this and talk to the whole company about this, because there is somebody who's using WinRAR that doesn't know about this.
Yep. So today, August 19th, SAP NetWeaver released that they have a 0-day and a patch. It's a chained flaws exploit as 0 days by some ransomware groups, espionage groups. Here's what happens is the public exploit released today allows full system compromised. So if you have an SAP system at large enterprises, you need to be aware of this. They're asking you to patch unpatched systems immediately, meaning like today. Mitigation, again, it's sort of kind of funny because this is hard to do within like an SAP system because it's huge across the enterprise.
And there's usually multiple of them.
But then there's multiple of them, but they're talking about segmentation of critical apps. And it's like,
good luck.
How are you going to do that? Like, are we going to pause, pause the integration of these apps?
Yeah.
So I hope if you have SAP NetWeaver, you're having a conversation today about this.
If you're an enterprise that's delivering a hard product across multiple countries with different currencies, you probably have some form of an ERP system, and there is a high likelihood that it is SAP.
Yeah. So anything from Black Hat, man, you're all pumped up.
Yeah. Like, I've got, I compiled a whole bunch of like the AI stuff. Like there's a hijacking of Microsoft's Copilot Studio agents. We talked about this one really briefly a couple streams ago. They demonstrated that at DEF CON. They found an unauthorized RCE remote code execution in one of the NVIDIA chipsets that actually allowed for the exfiltration of the underlying models, right? And so if you imagine like an enterprise that's running their own server infrastructure with their own GPUs, and they've built a custom model for research and development, or for if you're a banking industry, you're doing finances or something like that, there's actually an NVIDIA RCE that's core to the NVIDIA chipset that allows the exfiltration of the entire model. And so if you trained it on company proprietary intellectual property, that's a way to exfiltrate that entire company proprietary intellectual property. There continues to be a ton of prompt engineering, prompt injections. This is why I harp on this with the community. Go pick up a prompt engineering book. Do I have my prompt engineering books here? I do. Right?
Show us. What should we be using?
Like these are the two that I'm reading now, right? The two prompt engineering books that I'm reading, they don't both fit on camera, right? So take a quick snapshot of this one, take a quick snapshot of this one, right? Like, go learn prompt engineering. Prompt engineering is the SQL injection, front door for models and for AI this day and age. And so I would highly encourage you to be an expert on prompt engineering, because I think if you're looking for if you remember back in the web application and web hacking, web security days, SQL injections, 1=1, cross-site scripting, alert boxes, and things like that were all the rage because they existed all over the code base. I think prompt engineering and prompt injections are going to continue to be the 1=1, if you will, of models. And so there's a ton of that happened in a lot of the DEF CON villages for AI. I think the biggest thing, Jason, that came out of most of the AI panels, that people were listening to when it came to the AI panels was, this is going to sound cliche, Jason, and I know it does, and I understand it does. We got an ad break, so I'm going to draw this one out just a little bit because there's an ad break that's happening here.
Okay.
So for our folks who are stuck in an ad, we'll draw this one out a little bit. I think what's becoming apparent, and we've not seen this, I think, in our industry for a while, right? When computers first started to get big, when internet started to get big, there was a lot of this security theater that was happening where it was like, this was vulnerable. Why are you connecting a server directly to the internet? Why does your HTML code have full of bugs? Like this 1990s level sense of security. We're now seeing a reversion of that with AI, where we're moving so fast in the technology, but the common basic security fundamentals, like input validation, like output validation, like compute validation, things like that that are not, that we got used to doing with web apps as web apps have progressed, we've regressed back into that with models, and we're seeing the resurgence of these 1990 levels of easy attack vectors and forgotten, access controls and things like that that are happening around AI.
Yeah. I think that is, it's kind of interesting. It seems like we reinvent the problem that we solved someplace else.
Yeah.
And the problem exists 10 years later in just a different thing.
Yeah.
And I think you said something, and what I want to make sure people keyed in on is the SQL injection attacks, and like people didn't expect certain things to be injected into SQL. But then when it did, it behaved differently than what they expected. We're seeing the exact same thing happening right now with prompt inside of AI.
Yep.
And this is why you read books, read online material, because obviously that, the book took time to put together and print. And so, if the book is 6 months or a year old now, I mean, we're moving at a daily speed.
Yeah.
What I want people to understand is you go to bed, the rest of the world is awake. You come up the next day and AI has changed again. Yeah. And something else is being released, and you need to sort of stay aware of that.
Absolutely.
But prompt injection remains the top exploit taking place right now across all AI agents, you know?
Prompt engineering. If I had to give one piece of advice to the AI folks coming up behind us in cybersecurity, I would become an expert on prompt engineering, because I think that is going to be the number one entry point for attackers on LLMs for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Input sanitization, same way as it is on every web app.
Yeah. And this is one of the things that we're doing is we use AI to help us find a lot of the vulnerabilities that are being talked about. And one of the stats that I want to share with you guys, because I thought that this was interesting, is 20% of and this is real. I looked at this. I looked at multiple data points on this stat. 20% of data breaches occur from vulnerabilities that were known. Mm. So it had a CVE.
Yep.
It was out there for a while. The system was never patched. And since the system was never patched, 20% of those breaches and incidents occurred from of CVEs that were already known, vulnerabilities that were already known.
Yeah.
And so just think about that. You could reduce 20% of your risk inside of your organization if you had a focus on patching things with known patches and CVEs.
100%. Get back to the basics. Get back to the basics.
I'm sorry that we're not showing you or telling you some sort of amazing, flashy, glittery, I'm still waiting for, the Star Trek, lightsaber being a real thing. Everybody shows me the plastic one with an LED light in the middle.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's fake. I want a real lightsaber. But I'm sorry that we're not giving you guys lightsaber stuff, but this is
I was hoping chat was not paying attention for 5 seconds while you said that. I think you may have just lost a lot of credibility with chat, Jason.
Sorry.
Somebody's clipping that. You are now gonna get memed.
Yep. My bad. Am I allowed one mistake today? Can you give me, a little room for a mistake?
I don't make the rules. Chat makes the rules. You gotta appeal to chat. I think it's gonna require a Sans voucher. To make up for this one.
This sounds like a pay to play. This sounds like I'm paying you to forgive me. When I'm just asking for forgiveness. Why don't I take you out to Roost Chris?
There you go. Colonel Jack O'Neill on Starship Enterprise swinging his lightsaber.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, man. Jason,
yes.
Now that you have, let's get you off stage really quickly before you embarrass yourself and your techie knowledge even more.
Peace out. Love you guys. Have a great week, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Over to live stream
co-working. That's right. We're gonna send Jason on along his way before he embarrasses himself even more. We are gonna transition over to co-working stream. Again, this is part of the new way in which we're flowing things. Get that clip, get that over. Make sure you tag Jason. Make sure you tag Jason on LinkedIn when that clip goes out there, so that everybody in the world knows that Jason has no clue which universe lightsabers belong in whatsoever. With that being said, there are new channel point redemptions. We did update the channel points for those people who are tuning in for co-working streams. They involve a lot of the actual manipulation of the room around me. There are things like you can raise the blinds up and down. If I remember which hand that's on, you can affect the TV screen, what YouTube video gets played on the TV. And there are putting breaks where you can encourage me to get my putting practice in, amongst others. So do make sure you tune in to the co-working streams and redeem those channel points. For those over on YouTube, we're going to send you along your way. We do encourage you to hop on over to Twitch for the remainder of the co-working streams. For intentional bad putting practice, that's not a horrible idea either, to do bad putting. We should probably find different ways. We probably make the putting practice like innovative ways to do the putting practice. We'll add that one in there. We're also going to do more channel points predictions. We'll give you some ways to spend those channel points in there as well. If you do clip that, do make sure you drop it in the clips channel. Do make sure you post it up on the internet. Let's put some music on really quick for the co-working streams. What do we want to do today? Let's do some let's do some EDM. We'll do some EDM today. With that being said, we're going to transition over, if I can remember which one my co-working button is. Overlay. You can tell, there we go. If you're new to co-working streams, this is our co-working stream. You can use !task helper in chat to get access to the task list up here. Everybody can participate in the task list. Co-working is an ADHD body doubling tactic that allows us to get a lot of things done throughout the day together. Let's put on some music and let's get to work.
Work your fingers to the bone. I know you can keep me warm. Don't you leave, it's getting cold. I got you and you got me. Don't be scared if we complete. Love and war the same damn thing. Yeah. Oh love, it's like I'm fading away. I want more, I want more. Oh love, I really want you to stay. We'll push it to the edge for real. We'll push it to the end now. We'll push it to the end.